Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is Jemma here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of video. It's a face video. Hi, how you doing? Long time no see. But today I've decided to kind of redo one of my older videos. I say older, it was like 5 months ago, but it really doesn't feel like it's been 5 months since I made that video. But yeah, I've decided to look back on my downsizing video and see what's changed, because a lot of things have changed recently. I've been going through kind of a collection crisis, so I've decided to change some things. I literally made these decisions really kind of just all at once, and at the moment I'm happy with how my collections are right now. So before I change my mind, I'm gonna share what I've changed, look back on the video. I really didn't downsize much in that video. That's the kind of issue I had with that video. When I look back on that video, I'm like, I never really changed much about my collections, and it was a bit of a strange time to make a downsizing video because I didn't really downsize. So I've changed my location. I guess I've decided to film in front of my shelves because I thought it would look cute. Does it look cute? I don't know. It's something different. Also, in 5 months, what has changed? Nothing really. My hair, I guess. Like, I had a full-on fringe in this video, and now I've gone for more like a side fringe, mainly because my fringe is just like grown out. I didn't really feel like cutting the fringe back, and this is really random, but there we go. I've decided to go for a bit more of a side fringe. Let me know in the comments. Do you prefer me with the side fringe or full on forehead? No one prefers that. But yeah, let's go to the channel. Oh my goodness. We are currently at 51 subscribers, and that's kind of crazy. Like, I never really expected the channel to get that many subscribers. I literally thought, oh, maybe there'll be like 10 subscribers, but 50 subscribers? That's a lot of people. Like, we started this 7 months ago, and the channel already has passed 50 subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. But honestly, that's crazy. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, let's get into this video. I'm not gonna be like reacting to it fully. I'm just gonna watch the video and then stop when something has changed. Oh, and I'm also wearing a grey jumper in that one too. I'm still wearing grey jumpers, but this one's a BT21 themed one, so at least it's different. I guess my aesthetic is grey jumpers. Oh, this is gonna be cringy. Here we go. I guess we're just gonna start from like my alts and go down in priority. I currently have 4 alts. That's changed. So I currently have 5 alts because I added Cheon after making this video. So I didn't consider Cheon an alt when I made this video, but now I consider Cheon a very big alt. So that's one thing already. For Shiny, I want to collect all their Korean albums and photo cards. And I sometimes get special things like season's greetings, DVDs, photo books. I don't collect like Japanese things, albums or photo cards. That's still true. For any group. Basically, Shiny hasn't changed. Still collecting 85, still collecting their Korean stuff, still collecting some special things. Next alt is Pentagon. For Pentagon, I collect all Korean albums and photo cards. I also collect some special things from Pentagon. So Pentagon also hasn't changed. Still collecting albums, still collecting all members, and I did actually get their season's greetings for 2021, so... Group is WeI, but I do collect all the members of WeI. If you saw my WeI unboxing, you would know that Johan is a big alt, and I wanted to collect whoever was in his group. So WeI has actually changed. I'm still collecting their albums are up here, but I'm not collecting all the members anymore because I said it in my setting up my binder video for their comeback, that this comeback just had so many cards that I couldn't handle collecting OT6, although I really want to. I really wish I could, but there was just too many things, so I've cut it down. Originally I cut it down to just Johan, and now I've added Youngha because I love WeI, and Youngha is just such a big bias wrecker, so I decided to add him as well. Because of all the other stuff I've downsized, I allowed myself to add Youngha, so that's that. Apart from that, the same rules apply. Still collecting Korean albums, still occasionally getting special things. Not much has changed, just the fact that I've cut it down from OT6 to just collecting Yohan and Youngha.
My fourth alt is BTS. Again, all Korean albums, photocards, some special things. I have...
So yeah, BTS is still the same, collecting albums, collecting some special things, although I don't fully like collect DVDs anyways. But yes, still collecting albums at least. But the only thing I have changed is I'm not fully collecting OT7, especially for albums like Love Yourself and Map of the Soul series, where each member has like 4 cards per album, and it's just a lot because BTS are expensive. They're expensive, especially their albums. Their albums are getting really expensive nowadays, and of course their photo cards have kind of always been a little bit expensive, so I've decided to cut down just on those collections to just collect my top 3, which is Jimin, JK and Suga. So yeah, I'm gonna be fully collecting those 3, but anything else that has like 1 photo card per member like the older albums do, I'm gonna collect OT7 for those. So yeah, that's the only real change I've made to BTS.
Now moving on to semi-alts.
Oh, I guess before I move on to semi-alts, I'll mention for Cheon, who is a new alt. I do mention it like later on in the video, but I'll just mention it now. So Cheon has become an alt. That means I will be collecting all of her cards. Although I did want to collect her cards in this video, and I'm also going to be collecting 1 album per comeback for IZ*ONE. I already have their debut album, it's Sideways. So I'm just going to collect 1 version per comeback for IZ*ONE.
First semi-alt I have is 17. They are like the highest semi-alt. For 17, again, all Korean albums and photocards. I only collect 3 members of 17. I collect Jun, who's my bias, Mingyu, his bias wrecker, and S-Coops, who's like second bias wrecker.
Oh, it hurts my heart. This really hurts my heart, this one. But 17 is one that has had a big change to it. My 17 collection is on the bottom, so you can't see it. There it is. My little 17 collection. I want to collect all their albums, but it's kind of difficult because their older albums are like out of print at the moment, so yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna buy what I can for 17. Like, I won't necessarily be bothered if I can't find every single version of their older stuff, but their future stuff, I will try my best to fully collect them. And the other change I've made is I'm not collecting 3 members anymore. But for 17, they just have a lot of cards, especially for an ode. That album is just like impossible, but I've decided for 17 I'm only going to be collecting June from now on. 1, because it's just easier to focus on 1 member, and 2, Mingyu and S-Coops tend to be a little bit more expensive. S-Coops not as much, but definitely Mingyu, and Mingyu's harder to trade for. I was doing okay with S-Coops, it was still a struggle. Yeah, I've just decided to focus on June to make my life 10 times easier, especially with albums like an ode. And again, same rules apply. I'm still collecting albums, not Japanese things, and occasionally special stuff, so.
Next semi-alt is Stray Kids. Again, all Korean albums and photo cards. Again, for Stray Kids, I collect 3 members, Jisung, Chan, and Changbin. 3 Rapture.
Oh, this sucks again, because Stray Kids, I'm also cutting Chan and Changbin and just focusing on Jisung because Stray Kids have a lot of cards. Also, my collection was so confusing to me, and it was really bugging me how I added Changbin after Levanta, but I didn't want to go back and collect all of his other cards. But then I did want to collect all of his other cards, so that just made my life harder. So then I went back to only collecting Jisung and Chan before Levanta and just continuing with 3 members after Levanta, and I just found that really weird. So I was thinking it over and I was like, you know what, it's best to just cut Changbin and also cut Chan, because Chan is actually the most difficult member to collect out of the 3 that I collect. Jisung's like in the middle and Changbin is really easy. I've just decided to focus on my bias, Jisung. It's just so much easier to do that for me. Just focusing on 1 member instead of 3. It's just so nice. It's just so nice, and it's like my stress levels gone way down. I was so stressed about my collections, and just focusing on one member has really helped to make me not stress and just enjoy collecting. This is a bit of a rant, but I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant right now. I think for the past 5 months I've been going through like a collection crisis where I really didn't know what to do with my collections. I love collecting, I still love collecting, but it was stressing me out. The fact that I had so much to collect and I don't have a job right now. And I didn't have a job when I made this video either. I have not had a job since March of 2020, and it's just been really difficult to find another job. So that's another thing I had to keep in mind, is I don't know when I'm going to be able to find a job again. So yeah, but even when I had a job, I wasn't necessarily able to keep up with all my collections, so I took that into consideration as well. So yeah, that's mainly why I've been doing a lot of thinking and finally just decided to downsize a lot of my collections.
Next semi-alt is 80s, all Korean albums and photo cards. I collect 3 members for 80s. I collect Yuno, Songhwa and Wooyoung. Final semi-alt is...
Okay, well, 80s was quick. But once again, for 80s, I went from 3 members to 1 member. I'm only going to be focusing on Yuno purely because 80s cards have become like really expensive. And the 2 other members that I collected, Songhwa and Wooyoung, were more expensive than Yuno, and Yuno is my bias. So naturally, I just cut those 2 members, which is kind of sad because Songhwa is such a bias wrecker. He's almost a second bias at this point, but no, his cards are way too expensive.
Final semi-alt is day 6. Again, all Korean albums and photo cards. For day 6, I collect J and Youngtae.
Well, for day 6, nothing's changed. I still collect J and Youngtae purely because they don't have as many cards, and yeah, I'm basically double biased in day 6, so I couldn't really cut one member over the other. But day 6 aren't too hard to collect, so that's nice.
So the first top group I have on my list is CIX. I collect all their Korean albums and photo cards. For Jinyoung, Jinyoung is my bias.
CIX hasn't changed. I still bias Jinyoung, I still collect Jinyoung, so yeah.
My next top group is Wavy. They are my favourite NCT unit.
So let's just talk about Wavy. Now, all of NCT is a top group. I said before Wavy was my only top group out of the NCT units. They're still my top NCT unit, but NCT is a top group as a whole now. But I'm not going to talk about that until we get to the other NCT units, because I'll just talk about NCT as a whole.
Okay, my next top group is GOT7. I used to collect Mark and JB, but recently decided to drop JB and just keep what I pull of him.
Okay, so for GOT7, I still only collect Mark, but in regards to keeping what I pull of JB, I probably won't do that. I probably will trade from now on.
My final top group is Monster X. Monster X, I collect Hyungwon. I used to collect Wono, all the albums he was in, and then after Wono left, I wanted to collect Kihyun and IM. Now I'm thinking that I only want to collect Hyungwon and Kihyun.
Yes. I am only collecting Hyungwon and Kihyun now, and Wono, his older stuff. I've just made it so like Wono ends at follow and Kihyun picks up from there. I'm not gonna like go back and collect all of Kihyun's cards instead of Wono or anything like that. Yeah, because Wono was like my second bias in Monster X, and I want to have his Monster X cards. And I'm also gonna collect like, I think just 1 version of his solo albums, because yeah, buying like 3 versions per comeback is a lot, especially when you're not like fully collecting someone. I would love to, but bank account says no. So yeah, for I think any soloist that isn't an alt, I'm only gonna buy like 1 version for their solos and stuff like that.
That's it for top groups. Now I just move on to like medium priority groups / low priority as we get further down. But even that I didn't really put in an order.
Wow, okay, so at the time I didn't have Treasure as a top group. Treasure are a top group now, so let's talk about Treasure. I don't think anything's changed. I still collect Asahi and Jaehyuk. I'm pretty sure I collected Asahi and Jaehyuk back then as well. The only thing that's changed is that they are a top group. The amount of albums that I collect for certain groups has changed as well, but I think I'm going to go over that at the very end of the video.
I have like the X1 groups, as I like to call them. Out of those groups I collect Victon. I definitely want to collect Byung-chan and Sungwoo. Byung-chan is my bias, like my main bias, and then Sungwoo is like my second bias.
Oof, okay. For Victon, I've decided to only focus on collecting Byung-chan. I would love to collect Sungwoo, but Sungwoo is one of the more popular members now of Victon, so his cards are very hard to get. And like I said in this video, their latest album, there are so many photo cards. There are a lot of photo cards per member, and it's just a lot. Also, my plans for collecting certain albums, a lot has changed with that as well, so I'm gonna go over that later, like I said.
And then it changed to Subin, but now I think it's just, I'm gonna have to cut the third member. I mean, it was gonna be Subin. I think I'm gonna have to cut Subin because there's so many cards.
Wow, even my like third bias record has changed so much in Victon. My bias record now is Chan. So if I was to collect 3 members, it would be Byung-chan, Sungwoo and Chan. But I'm only going to collect Byung-chan, so.
Everything. And photo cards. At the moment I collect 3 members, Minnie, Hyungjun and Taeyang. I don't know, in the future I might have to let go of Taeyang.
Well, we have another change. So for Gravity, I am now only collecting Minnie. Yeah, there's that. I just decided to focus on Minnie because of how low a priority Gravity is. I wasn't getting anywhere with 3 members, so I ended up cutting Hyungjun at first. Now I've cut Taeyang as well. So yeah, just focusing on Minnie.
Next one on my list is Woods. For Woods, I'm going to collect all of his albums and just keep what I pull of his photo cards.
Well, like I said, for Woods, I think any solo artist, I'm just going to get one version of each album and keep what I pull, unless it's an alt. But I've luckily been thinking I don't want to thoroughly collect Woods. Like, I might just get his debut album because I love that album and I loved his debut. I also loved his comeback, so I might end up getting that album, his Whoops album. But to be honest, I have not listened to his comeback. What was it, Feel Like? That was the song title. I haven't listened to that as much and it's kind of sad because it's a good song, but I just haven't found myself listening to it as much as I listened to his first 2 songs. So I don't know if I'm gonna end up collecting Woods or not, but it is what it is, I guess.
I really wanted to collect all the X1 members.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that all the X1 members have re-debuted now. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh, they've all re-debuted. My X1 heart, it's just crying right now. It's so hot in here. I should take off my jumper, but like, hell no.
So the boys, I collect all the versions of their albums and photo cards. I collect Q.
Okay, so the boys hasn't changed. I still only collect Q and it's still a struggle. So
Oneus, I collect all versions even though they only produce like 1 version per album, which is nice.
oh, this was before Devil came out with the 3 versions. That was such betrayal. Can't believe you've done this to me, Oneus. But I'm gonna be talking about albums later. We'll get there.
I collect 2 members, Soho and Raven. Oneus are pretty easy to collect. I'm just really slow with them.
That's still true. They are easy to collect and I'm very slow with them. But I've kind of decided, I'm still going back and forth on this one, if I want to cut Raven because it might be easier just to focus on Soho, just because I'm so slow with their collection. Kind of same with Victon, like, and Gravity, all of those collections that I'm really slow with. Is it worth it? Like, I just should probably focus on one member, shouldn't I?
Golden Child is next. At the moment I collect all the versions of their albums and all the photo cards. I used to collect Dale and Bowman, but recently decided to not fully collect Bowman and just keep what I pull of him.
Okay, that's also changed. I do collect Dale still, but Bowman, I don't keep what I pull of him anymore. And I've decided to just trade his cards off to make more progress on my Dale collection. There we go.
Next one, TOO, because I collect Chan and Jisoo. Chan is my bias, Jisoo is my Greca. So I decided that I might drop Jisoo next comeback. But
wow. It's been so long since TOO have had a comeback that they changed their name. TOO are called TO1 now, but I have recently decided to stop collecting TO1 now. I don't think I'm going to keep up with their collection at all. I would love to continue collecting Chan because I love him and he's an amazing dancer, but in terms of priority, I just wasn't getting anywhere with their collection. And I know I also mentioned Very and On and Off in this video, and I don't think I'm going to be collecting them either, just because, yeah, I love them, but I just don't think they're high enough to be like groups I collect. There's people talking in the background. Rude, I'm trying to film a video. But yeah, like I said, some groups are just not high priority enough for me to collect them. I still love them though. Like, even if I don't collect a group, I still love them.
So next on my list I have NCT.
Who's NCT? God, they were that far down. Like, they weren't even a top group. They weren't even like medium. They're far down on this list. Well, I guess this part I didn't really have like an order. Now I have an order. So yeah, but let's talk about NCT.
For 1 to 7, I collect Yuta and Winwin, and Jungwoo. Wavy, I collect 10, Winwin and Kun. Dream, I collect Jamin and Jisung, so that's 7 members total. So for 2018-2020, I also want to collect Lucas and Jeno.
Why?
Because those two, if I could collect them thoroughly, I would, but I can't, so...
Still applies, can't. So, I don't know why in my right mind that I thought collecting 9 members of NCT would be okay. I was crazy. Like, why? And then I added Shotaro. I added Shotaro and thought it was fine. Because Shotaro has been like climbing up that bias list. So I added him. Why? That was crazy. So yeah, I have definitely downsized NCT a lot. Gone from like, what, 9-10 members to 5. So the members I have decided to keep collecting for NCT: 10, obviously, because he's my top bias. Yuta, because he's my 127 bias. Jamin, because he's my dream bias. And then I've also kept Shotaro because he's only in the 2020 comeback, so I want to collect him for that. And I've also decided to keep collecting Kun because since Wavy is my top NCT unit, I wanted to collect a couple of Wavy members, and I was going to collect Winwin, but recently Kun, I think, he's definitely become like my bias wrecker, I think, over Winwin. I love Winwin with my whole heart. He deserves better. SM, what are you doing? But yeah, I think Kun has definitely overtaken that bias wrecker spot, so I've decided to keep collecting Kun. So yeah, that's 5 members, and that'll be way easier to handle. What was I even going on about? Why in my right mind did I think, oh yeah, I'll just collect like 10 members for NCT? No, I am not that rich, okay? I am broke. What are you doing?
Treasure. For now, I collect all the versions of their albums because they only do 2 versions per album. I haven't got chapter 3 yet, but I'm just taking my time with getting Treasure.
Yeah, that's still true. I still have not got chapter 3 for Treasure. But yeah, like I said, Treasure hasn't changed. Still collecting Asahi and Jaehyuk.
Ace. So for Ace, I decided to collect Undercover Onwards because a lot of their older albums are really hard to find.
That's still true for Ace, but I'm not fully collecting them anymore. I've just decided I'm just going to buy an Ace album when I really want to. And I'm not going to collect photo cards, which is kind of sad because I would love to collect WoW since he is my bias and he's a very strong bias. But bank account says no, not today.
SF9. For SF9, I only collect certain albums and photo cards for Taeyang.
I think SF9 is also in the same category as Ace now. If I really like that album, I'll buy it, but I'm not going to fully collect them, and I'm not going to fully collect Taeyang either. I would love to, once again, because Taeyang is a very strong bias, but it's just like priority wise, some groups just aren't on the level where I'm constantly looking for their albums, I'm constantly thinking about their photo cards, I'm constantly thinking about their comebacks and stuff like that. So I think SF9 has definitely fallen into that category of I'll get there when I get there. So yeah, I just decided to not fully collect anymore, and yeah, I'll just get an album when I want to. There's no pressure collecting SF9, which makes it better, definitely.
And Flying is the next one. Again, bring memories on.
I'll just save the time. I already know SF9. No. End Flying, once again, fallen into that category of I'm not collecting anymore, just gonna buy an album when I want to and keep what I pull.
For the rose, I just put who knows what will happen in the future.
Still applies. I don't know what will happen with the rose in the future. I still want to keep buying the albums though because I love their music, but I'm not going to collect photo cards or anything like that. So
TXT, I decided to keep what I pull to make it easier because I couldn't decide who to collect.
That's still true. Just going to collect TXT albums and not going to collect any like photo cards. But I think from now on I'm just going to buy like one version of TXT's albums, because I still have yet to buy their Blue Hour album, so yeah, they're on a very low priority right now.
ITZY is another group that I just keep what I pull.
Oh my god, ITZY were all the way down here. ITZY are a top group now. So for ITZY, I collect Chelong. I did want to collect Chelong and Woojin, but cut Woojin. But yeah, ITZY are a top group. Wow. They were my top girl group and I didn't put them in my top group category.
Card, I want to get certain albums and collect what I've planned again, although I've been...
Card again has fallen into that category of I'm not collecting, but if I want to buy an album I will, but I'm not going to go out of my way to collect anything. So
Eyes One I recently added back into my collections list because I did cut them, but I've recently added them back because I wanted to collect all of Cheon's photo cards.
Like I said, this was before I added Cheon as an alt. Even though she was like such a strong bias for me, I didn't count her as an alt for some reason, because I was like, alts are only like groups, they're not single members. For me personally, like I never really had like an alt bias until Cheon, so I added her as an alt, but back then she wasn't an alt, which is so crazy. Like I denied it for so long. I was like, she's not really an alt, but she's like high up. No, she's an alt. She's an alt.
I don't collect Eyes One's albums, but I do want to collect Cheon's photo cards because she is like my queen. I love her so much. She is actually up there with all my biases. I would say she's my top female bias.
I said she's my top female bias and I didn't count her as an alt or even like a top group collection. Like, what was I thinking?
The groups I decided to stop collecting after a certain point. So I previously started to collect them, but now decided to stop. First one, I stopped.
So the whole like section of me cutting out groups is the same, I'm pretty sure. Like, who did I cut? AB6. I think they're just in the category of if I want to buy an album I will, but I don't see myself buying AB6 albums in the future. Who else did I cut? Astro, same thing. I don't see myself buying an album, but if I happen to buy an album, I'm not gonna complain. Like, it's strange, but like I don't see myself fully collecting them. So they're kind of in the same category as all the other groups that I'm not fully collecting. But if I want to buy an album, I will, because it's my collection. Okay, so I think that's basically it. Like, I just go on to say there are a couple other groups I want to cut, but I haven't cut any groups. Well, I have. I have, but they're just in the category of like, if I want to buy an album, I'll buy an album. I think the only groups I've really cut since this list are TOO/TO1, Very Very, and On and Off. Let's just talk about something I missed going through this list, but let's just talk about how many albums I want to buy per group, because that's also like kind of changed in a way. I mean, alts hasn't changed. Alts, I'm going to continuously buy all of the albums, no matter how many versions. I don't think that's ever going to change. For semi-alts, I think I'm just going to go with the flow and buy what I want, but I probably will continue buying all the versions for semi-alts. But if there's like a version that I'm not too fond of, I don't think I'll go out of my way to buy it, if that makes sense. So yeah, for semi-alts, I'm just like, we'll see what happens. For top groups, I am going to be collecting, I think I've decided on 2 versions max per comeback. All the other groups that I haven't mentioned, so Golden Child, The Boys, One Earth Fit, Gravity, I think I'm only going to collect 1 version from now on, which also makes sense why I'm only collecting 1 member for those groups, because if I buy 1 album, it's much easier to complete 1 member than it would be for 2 members or 3 members. There are still groups that I've kind of been wanting to collect for a while, but due to like the sheer amount that I was already collecting, it was kind of difficult to bring myself to add those to my collection. So groups like P1 Harmony and Hyphen, or like soloists like Kang Daniel and Baekhyun. You know, those are some collections that I would love to pick up. Might not collect everything, like probably would only collect one version of the albums. Might not collect photo cards. I might collect photo cards, might not collect photo cards. It was just not possible, and now I've downsized and cut out members and cut out certain album amounts. Does that make sense? Not collecting every single album for every single group has really helped me realise like I could collect so much more if I just collected like one album per comeback instead of, not one album, one version per comeback instead of like 4 versions per comeback, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited for this downsize. This one's a bigger downsize than last time, and I'm kind of excited to see if I actually do add any more groups in the near future. But anyways, that is it for this video. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. This felt like a bit of a chaotic video. I have had a bit of a rough day, so doing this was something to distract me, I guess. And it was a bit of a different video because I really don't have anything to film right now. Like, I don't have any new albums coming in, I don't really have many photo cards coming in, and most of that is due to me not having a job. Ugh. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!